Details for the APAC playoffs are in, and we are going to be talking about that today. Welcome back to Check Your Corners with me, Sleepy, and let's get into it. There are two tweets that I want you guys to pay attention to, and they're both by our Lord Opal. The first one was where he posted a meme of Steve Harvey with two very opposing expressions, where he said that he was joking. I'm sure he was joking about possible group draws that I guess kind of came true, and the results were kind of surprising. And when I say surprising, there's two ways to look at it. There's the bad kind of surprise, and there's the good surprise. Bad kind of surprise is for us Indonesians who've been wishing that Onyx be grouped up with some of the lesser known teams, but it turns out that Onyx is now grouped up with two other teams who were at the VCT Southeast Asia playoffs last year, stage 3 of the VCT season. Basically, Full Sense, Big Bam, and Onyx are in the same group, and to top it off, Action PH is also in that group. So, yeah. We'll dive deeper into Group A very soon, but before that, the good surprise is for our South Asian friends because Global Esports have been grouped up with some of the lesser known teams, and I'm not trying to underestimate them or talk shit about these lesser known teams, but literally one of the teams is named No Namers. So, hey, there you have it. But my point here is that Global Esports, I think, has got it good, and I sincerely hope that they are not going to let this chance go and make sure they make use of this kind of lucky draw to make it to the group stages. So good luck, have fun to Global Esports and the other teams in the Group B. Now let's take a look at the groups for play-ins. Group A, we have Team Big Bam from Vietnam. We have Onyx G from Indonesia, Full Sense from Thailand, and Action PH from the Philippines. I know it's a very stacked group. Going to Group B, we have Griffin Esports from Hong Kong, Fancy United Esports from Vietnam, No Namers from Singapore, and finally Global Esports from India. Now, let's take a look at both groups. Let's start with Group A. Group A is hell. 3 teams made it to the 2021 Southeast Asian playoffs for stage 3. And plus, they have Action PH as well, one of my favorite teams going into the 2022 season. So it is one hell of a group. So what I'm going to try and do now is, I guess, give you a bit of a highlight to each team that's going to be playing in the play-ins. Starting with bracket A, of course, we have Big Bam. Honestly, I don't know much since their reshuffle. All I know is we played against Big Bam when I was in AE in the Southeast Asian playoffs, and we beat them in a pretty okay fashion. And it was really thanks to them. Shout out to Big Bam for giving us some time to figure out our internet problems and stuff. But for now, all I know is that, yeah, we got to take a closer look at Nathong 2K as a duelist and Dorf as their sentinels. They've been consistently performing, and I would love to see them play again in the APAC play-ins. Onyx G, obviously, I know them pretty well. They are from Indonesia, and I have been taking a close look at them, and I was even considering taking the role of an analyst for the team, but hey, as some of you know, I announced my retirement from professional coaching, and so that did not happen. But what I want to highlight today is, of course, one of their strongest players is Monyet. He is one hell of a flexible jet and race player. He can even play Reyna if he wants to, but of course, if he can play jet and race very well, he needs to take that role. And he's just been very consistently performing. Yes, he's had some off days, but when he's on, he's on. And so this is one of the players that you will have to take a closer look at. I also want to highlight Shiro as an underrated support player. He's been very fundamental in helping Monyet find his opening kills and opening entries and just finding a way for the team to get into the bomb site. And so Shiro should also be one of the players you look at when Onyx is playing. Elmi Moore, I'm kind of biased here, but yeah, he was one of my players who I coached, and he's been a very fundamental and foundational, I guess, player and AE success back in the Southeast Asian playoffs. And going into Onyx, I think he's been kind of slowing down a little bit, but of course his aim is still up there. And if you are a Southeast Asian player who's faced Elmimore before, you know he's got one of the sickest aims in the region, and I just can't wait to see that, see more of that later in the APAC Play-ins. A team that made it to champions last year, Full Sends, obviously is going to be one of the highlights. I'm honestly surprised that they had to go and play in the play-ins and not make it straight to group stages. So that just proves to you that Thailand is one hell of a region as well. Always been, always will be, I think. But I do want to highlight John Olsen. Obviously, you know how well he's been performing, but maybe not in champions per se. I was hoping for more consistency from him and PTC, but for now, in the 2022 season, he's got the highest ACS in all of Thailand. So I'm really looking forward to more of his plays. And of course, Lammy Snacks, I think he's been very crucial with his support plays, and he's very flexible in the agents department. So I can't wait to see what Full Sense has got in store now, especially with the experience they bring from having attended Champions 2021 and meeting all those international teams out there and bringing those experiences here to Southeast Asia. So we'll see. And finally, Action PH, again, one of my favorites. Georgie has been insanely good. He's been improving so much that it's kind of hard to keep up. He's so good that now he's got the highest ACS across the Asia Pacific region, and a qualified team, I might add, because there are some players from teams that didn't qualify, but they have high ACS. So I'm just going to say that Georgia has got the highest one from a qualified team. So that is one thing you have to focus on as well. And Ariu, there's an interesting stat that I found here. He is a clutch master. He's won 19 out of 87 clutches, so that comes down to about 22%. So that means in 5 clutch situations, he will always win one of them. So I will be looking closely at your clutches. So good luck, have fun, Group A. So with that, that is a brief overview of what Group A is going to look like. And if you ask me who's going to make it through, I will have to go with Full Sense and Action PH. And I know I am Indonesian, and how come I'm not supporting Onyx? Well, part of it is I want to try and be as objective as I can here, but also maybe I just want to try and not jinx my fellow countrymen by saying that they'll make it. So this is the true test of my superpowers. Let's see if my jinx is on. Going over to Group B, I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of things to talk about at Group B, but I will try and highlight a few players and names from each team. Griffin Esports, we have Siofat and YX Select. Wait, YR Select? Hold up. YR Select, yes. They have a wide agent pool. The last match that I saw them play, each of these players have 4 different agents played. And of course, pay attention to Attention. Because he is a flex player. He does play Viper, but he also plays Jet, and sometimes he plays Initiators. So there's a lot of flexibility going on in the Griffin Esports roster, and I'm really excited to see them play out these flexible compositions against these other teams in Group B. Over at Fancy United, I'll be looking at High Z closely because he is the player that contributed a great amount to each round that they play with a KAST rating of 82%. Over at No Namers, I'll be taking a closer look at Farah and Thames as their duelists, and that's basically all that I have for these two teams. So I apologize, I don't have more to talk about those teams, but hopefully we'll have more to talk about after we see them play next week in the APAC Play-ins. And finally, Global Esports, SK Rossi, dubbed the last hope of South Asia, has been consistently performing. And honestly, I love how he's so focused in winning and not really swayed by all this, things that has been buzzing around him. He's got this fame now. Everybody wants to talk to him. He's been featured in a lot of articles and interviews, but he's still here to grind, and he's proven that even though it was a rocky road for global esports and VLT, thank you for our South Asian friends for reminding me again about how hard it was for VLT and GE, the kings of South Asia, to make it through to the play-ins and the group stage. So yeah, it was a testament that SK Rossi did not get complacent, and he is here to show us once again that SK Rossi and his team, Global Esports, are a force to be reckoned with. And I want to highlight as well one player from the team that is lightning fast, one of the most flexible players from the team. And this is going to be an interesting, I guess, proving grounds for Global Esports, because if they can win here and make it to the group stages, South Asia will have 2 teams, which are the number of slots that they are given into the APAC playoffs. So I'm really hoping there's something good going on here for South Asia, and I just want to see what they can bring to the table next week. So good luck, have fun again to the teams from Group B. And again, if I am asked to choose and predict who's going to make it, Global Esports, obviously one of the names that's popping out at me right now. But I would go with No Namers. Because I know some of the players from No Namers. I've seen them play. I've also played against them in ranked, which isn't really a reliable way to gauge their powers in an international tournament. But hey, this might be my familiarity bias, but it is what it is. And I would love to talk more about them next week after we've seen them play in the play-in. So good luck, have fun, Group B. We do have the teams designated into each group to be playing in the group stages, but I think I'll hold myself on talking about those groups in detail. But for now, I just want to share with you my opinion on the heaviest group all the way to the lightest group, and that will be Group C, comprising of Serja, Naus Esports, and Bleed Esports. And then I'll go ahead and put Group B as the second hardest group, with PaperX facing it out against Bonkers and the underdogs from Indonesia, Boy With Love. And then we have Group D as the number 3 in my hardest to lightest groups. That is Southbuild Esports versus Velocity Gaming and Oblivion Force. And finally, Group A, it's not exactly like the easiest group, but I'm going to guess that the teams in the play-ins are going to be eyeing Group A and hoping that they'll be slotted into Group A, where there's Boom Esports, Made in Thailand, and Cerberus Esports. And again, these are just my opinion, and we'll hopefully see some surprises going into the group stages, but that is for later, and we will be talking about these groups in greater detail next week once we have the results from the APAC Play-ins. There's your APAC Play-ins preview, so good luck, have fun to all teams, and we'll talk more about them next week once the results are out. But now I want to go over some news, one of which that is most interesting to me is, of course, the Valorant Champion skins revenue breakdown, including the splits between organizations and their players. Start with each team that made it to Champions in 2021, each brought back 585,000 US dollars. That is a bonkers amount of money. And the splits are interesting. EMEA and Asia Pacific, they've been pretty conservative with the amount that they share with the players, with EMEA ranging around 70 to 80% for the team and 20 to 30% for the players. Asia Pacific, well, Vision Strikers with 70% for the team, Team Secret with 70% as well, and 30% goes to players. And one team name that I mentioned last week, who seems to have trouble escaping the spotlight, is X10, because they split 0% with the players, and that is a yikes. But I did see another tweet saying that it is not true. It is not 0%. It is 10%, just still the lowest number compared to the other teams. But anyway, there's that. North America has been pretty generous. I mean, Team Envy and Sentinels both split 50-50, and Cloud9 actually gave 75% to the players. And in Latin America, it's kind of a split. Furia with 60% to the team and 40% to the players, and Vivo Keed actually gave out 80% to the players. So props to Vivo Keed for caring about the players more. that is such poggers.
Okay.
I have an article here saying that we might have a clue as to what the next agent's role is, and it might be an initiator. And there's a whole lore thing going on with voice messages from Viper to Brim saying that, you know, hey, we need more agents on the ground, we need more information, blah, blah, blah. So that's a clue that might say the next agent is an agent with information gathering capabilities that will rival Sova's, and that is interesting. I'm personally excited to see another initiator because I feel like initiators are such a crucial part of the game, because without initiators you can't really do stuff when it comes to entering a site or controlling a map area. So I'm excited for an additional initiator to enter the game soon. Another thing that I would just want to put out there is this ruling, well, competitive ruling for G2 Esports, where they lost a map ban due to exploiting a bug. So this is just going to be here forever, huh? Riot is just going to continue giving out competitive rulings for any team that just exploit bugs. And when I hear the word exploit bugs, I really just don't think teams are so dirty or naughty that they want to use exploits to win the game. I think teams just don't know that those are exploits they're using. So yeah, I really hope we have a fix to this very soon. But hey, as I said in the last video, maybe we'll have a bug-free game by 2035. We'll see. And lastly, we have a local news coming from the Philippines. We have Vyminal, one of the broadcast talents from the Philippines, joining RRQ, an Indonesian organization that fielded a Filipino roster, as a coach. Vyminal will be RRQ's coach, and it's going to be interesting. I think Vyminal was in a team before. I think it was Grind Sky, if I was not mistaken, and then he moved now to RRQ as an official head coach. So that is going to be interesting. I'm really excited as to what's going to happen there in the Philippines, as it is already a very competitive scene. I can't wait for stage 2. So good luck, have fun to Vyminal and RRQ. And with that, I think there's that should be enough for us to wrap up this video. Thank you for again enjoying this video, watching it, giving it a like and subscribe. I know you're giving it a like and subscribe, so thank you all. And if you're not, well, unlucky. But thank you. I hope that gave you a bit of a preview into the APAC Play-ins next week. I really am excited to see how these teams that I guess have been highly rated play, and also I want to see all these lesser known teams make an impact, and that will give us something to discuss next week. So, good luck, have fun to all the teams. Good luck, have fun to you guys watching. Again, please drop a like and subscribe if you like this content, and I will be making more, and I will continuously improve this format and more. So, again, thank you for watching, and do not forget, check your corners.